Good morning. As he said, my name is Nate Battle, but I am a cancer survivor. So this billboard sums it up. And for those of you in the back, this year thousands of men will die from stubbornness. Somebody put graffiti on it. No, we won't. Might as well have been me. I went in to save $250 on my health insurance and ended up saving my life. And I'm going to share with you this morning on how I did that in 87 easy steps. This would be the number of steps from my parking spot to get my butt in the doctor's office. 2014 was supposed to be a banner year. My wife and I turning 50. When you see her, don't tell her I told you how old she is. We're planning to celebrate 30 years of marriage. We got married at 12. We weren't planning on a cancer diagnosis. To give you a little backdrop, I was traveling back from visiting my daughter in college. Ended up, when I got here, in the ER. Failed a stress test miserably and ended up as a guest in the hospital for a few days. Ran a litany of tests and couldn't find anything. Figured it was a bacterial infection, put an antibiotic by IV in me, sent me home. Okay, fine. Several months later, symptoms returned. Ran a larger group of tests, testing for all types of cancer, bladder, liver, stomach, all the bad stuff. Still couldn't find anything. So sitting down with my doctor, he said, "You've got about $1 million workup. Let's talk about your lifestyle." Well, as it turns out, it was stress. I laughed. He didn't. He said, stress can mimic the very diseases that we just tested for. You need to change your lifestyle. Workaholic, like father, like son. That's easy fix. I'm a guy. No problem. I'll stop being a workaholic. You're healthy as a bear. Great. I never need to go to the doctor again in life. Yeah. Until I wanted to save $250 on my life insurance. Now this is I'm the 10th person in my family with prostate cancer, and my mom had breast cancer. So that increases your chance of getting prostate cancer. Just talk about stubborn. So, went in for the health screening and got a call from my doctor a few days later, and he said, "It's probably nothing, but your PSA, which is only 4.3, is a little higher than I'd like it to be for somebody your age. So I'm going to refer you to a specialist." Okay. Did I go? No. I had PowerPoints to create and conference calls to have, so I waited several months. Finally went in to see the urologist, and then went back in after the results and sitting down with my wife, and he goes, "Yep, so got a little adenocarcinoma." I'm like, "Hey, adenocarcinoma, no problem, got that licked. He didn't say cancer, that's the bad news," he said. I can't tell you what happened after that, once, you got cancer. In that room, that conversation, thank God my wife was there. But I can't tell you what was going through my mind. Oh my God, I'm gonna die. Oh my God, I'm gonna die. I'm going to die. So I came to the realization there's nothing new about that statement. We're all gonna die. Every one of us has an expiration date. We just don't know when it is, but it's something when the doctor pencils yours in and hands you the pencil and says, "Your move." I was not really giving surgery a consideration. My dad had gone through it, spent a couple weeks in the hospital, 7 days in ICU, and let's face it, I'm a guy. We're not operating on that. No. So I did my research on the internet. And we all know that everything you read on the internet is true. So my grand plan was herbal treatment. I was planning to move to the state of Colorado or Washington to deal with this.
How'd that work for you?
Yeah, so it was at one of the follow-up appointments. I was talking with the nurse. She said, "If you were my husband, I would make you have the surgery." Well, that appointment was for the 7th prescription for an antibiotic for the bacterial infection that I had gotten from the biopsy. One of them was a 14-day IV. So then I kind of came to the realization if a bacterial infection in the prostate could make me that sick, I lost a lot of weight, which is good, not the way you want to do it, what would cancer do? And finally came to my senses and said, okay, it's got to go. Which wasn't an easy decision given this wonderful economy. My wife works in Jacksonville and I work in Boca. We could see each other about once a week, but in any regard, the decision was made to have surgery. So opted for it's come a long way, radical prostatectomy, which was the robotic assisted, laparoscopic, anyway, so we're heading up to surgery, and it was kind of doom and gloom. It was like a death march, and a couple family members breaking down, and I said, hey, I'm the one headed upstairs about to be spayed and neutered, so, lighten up. It's, for guys, it's not that complex of a procedure. They blow your stomach up with gas and punch a bunch of holes in there, put their tools in and video cameras, and the doctor sits down and plays a video game and takes out a bunch of parts and pieces and does some rearranging of stuff in there and glues you back together and sends you to your room, makes you walk that night. Not so fun. I found out I still have some remnants of a six-pack. Puts an IV in you and sends you home. Great, no problem. Okay, funny story. So we're at the appointment to have the catheter removed. And you come in and they give you 150 milliliters of water. And they said, this is a loan. We want this back. This belongs to us. We need to make sure the plumbing's working. So you just, relax and give it back. And okay, so we're in the room and I'm with my best concentration. I don't want the catheter back in. So it was not happening. So I don't know if any of you have ever been to Orlando. Twisty Treat, best ice cream in the universe. So my wife, blesses her, she said, honey, after we leave here, we can go to Twisty Treat. In going through this process, I was mortified about the fact of, having to, for a short period of time, wear diapers. It depends. They've come a long way. So, remember all that weight I lost, the infection? But the first one, I looked over at my wife and said, sexy, and I know it. Coping with cancer is like a train wreck in your mind. When you hear those words, you have cancer, you begin to think of the past. You begin to think of the future. It becomes a bit of a struggle. At times you get lonely. You can become isolated. And you've got to figure out a way to work through this. And in that process, I had to learn that yesterday ended last night. Bill Gates can't buy 5 seconds of yesterday. The future, when it happens in the now. And so I had to learn to live in the now. And that was persevering. And here it says in the confrontation between the river and the rock, the river always wins, not by strength, but by perseverance. And so whether we're researching, recovering, reassuring someone that we know, that we love, or remembering someone that we've lost, it's that in this moment, in this now, reminding ourselves we're still here. And I had to frame that up to, you are alive. And then I had to begin to yell at myself in my head, Yah, to calm the voices, to begin to live in the moment, to persevere. And in those moments, ran across, what if you woke up one morning and somebody deposits $86,400 in your bank account?
Woo-hoo.
Wow.
With the only caveat is you have to spend every dime of it that day, and that day only. Well, I've got good news from you. That happens to all of us every day. We get 86,400 seconds to spend every day. How we choose to spend them is our choice. So it was the therapeutic care that I received from the caregivers, from the family, going through this process, simply holding my hand and rubbing my head, that made me want to give back. It made me want to make a difference, even more so during the post-pathology report. So the biopsy said 5% one side. The only way you know for sure prostate cancer is to take it out. They took it out, sent it on 15%, both sides, at the base, about to spread. On a prostate that was 3 times the normal size. Sitting down with my doctor, he said, you had about another 6 months before things were going to go really bad for you. I dodged a Scud missile matrix style. And then he said, these results are favorable and they could happen more often, but guys don't want to talk about it. This is a taboo subject. So at that moment, I vowed to spend the rest of my life, the second half, since I was spared, talking about something that nobody wants to talk about. If one life is spared, one quality of life is improved, one more birthday or one more anniversary, it's worth spending the rest of my life talking about. So wanted to partner up with an organization, given that 230,000 men are expected to be diagnosed with prostate cancer, 29,000 die. And imagine my elatedness in hearing that the American Cancer Society, specifically Relay for Life, funded the very research that helped save my life. So I've moved to a philosophy that I live by, and 3 simple rules. Number 1, in what you do what you love. Number 2, if you're unable to do what you love, find something to love about what you do. And number 3, if you're unable to do 1 or 2, love yourself enough to make a change to be able to do 1 or 2. So I applaud each and every one of you survivors, caregivers, supporters, people that are here volunteering, for making a difference in other people's lives, for carrying this cause forward, for being number 1 in the fundraising effort, for making a difference. Now let's go kick some cancer butt and have some fun.